So in this class, we are covering two very important verses of Bhagavad-gītā from the chapter number 8, verse number 20 and verse number 21. So in this two shlokas, we will understand about the nature of the spiritual world. Any volunteers who can read this shloka in the translation?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Yes, please go ahead.
Bhagavad-gītā 8.20. Parastasmatu bhavonyo vyakto vyaktat sanatanaha yasya sarveshu bhuteshu nasyat suna vinashyati. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Yet there is another manifest nature which is eternal and is transcendental to this manifested and unmanifested matter. It is supreme and is never annihilated. When all in this world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you. Let's read the next verse as well. 8.21. Any volunteers for reading 21 verse?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Hello.
Yes, please go ahead.
Avyaktoksara iti yukta samaho paramam gatim yam prapya nanuvartante tadhama paramam mama. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. That which the Vedanta describes as unmanifest and infallible, that which is known as the supreme destination, that place from which loving, having attained it, one never returns, that is my abode. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So today we are doing very important verses from Bhagavad-gītā, and where Lord Krishna is talking about the nature of the spiritual world. So what we saw in the previous verses, verse number 17, 18, and 19 is like how the calculation of time happens and how the entire material creation gets annihilated. So the main point there was annihilation. That means the material world is subject to destruction. That is the important point. Now, with respect to these two shlokas, what we understand is that there is another nature, yet there is unmanifest nature. Paras tasmat tu bhava anyo. There's a different kind of a nature, different kind of a universe is present. This is a very interesting thing. So all we understand is that there is a material universe. You see, we have the solar system, we have the Earth, we have the Milky Way galaxy, everything. And all of this put together is made up of the 5 elements, not anything beyond that. So now, but beyond this material nature, beyond this entire material universe, there is yet another transcendental spiritual world. Paras tasmat tu. But, tu means but. Paraha means which is transcendental, above. But it is avyakto, avyakta, avyaktat, and sanatana. That means it is eternal. There is yet another eternal place. So the nature of this material world is that it is temporary. Whereas the nature of the spiritual world is shashvataha or sanatanaha. Ashashvataha, material world is ashashvataha. Spiritual world is shashvataha. Material world is dukkhalaya. Spiritual world is ananda alaya, anandalaya. So it is full of bliss. It is Satchit Ananda. Krishna is called as Satchit Ananda. And similarly, the spiritual world, his eternal abode, is also Satchit Ananda. So what we have to understand is that as long as we are in this material world, we are subject to different kinds of suffering. We are subject to different kinds of transformations. But as soon as we get transferred to the spiritual sky, you see, then there is no more suffering. What is the spiritual sky, material sky? Let us try to understand. Imagine the sky, plain sky outside. You can see on the, above, you can see there's a sky, right? So in the sky, blue sky, suddenly there is a cloud that gets formed. Now, tell me something. What is permanent, the sky or the cloud? Can anybody tell me? What's permanent?
Cloud.
Permanent is sky.
Permanent is sky. Cloud is temporary formation. It's there for a little bit while and then it will go away. Is it not? Similarly, this entire creation is actually spiritual world, but a part of it, there's a cloud formed because of the Mahatattva, because of the three modes of material nature, Maya. There is a cloud that got formed. That is called as a material sky. Can anybody guess where we are right now? Are we in the spiritual sky or we are in the material sky? Who can say that? Have
We
you
are in the
observed that?
material sky.
Yes, we are in the material sky. So the material worlds are all part of the material sky. So as long as we are in this material world, material sky, we have to suffer, or we are subject to 6 kinds of transformation: birth and old age and growth and staying and decaying and death. All of these transformations are subject as long as we are affected or as long as we are in touch with this material sky. The three modes of material nature are also a part of this material sky. So, but Bhagavad Gita is giving a very important information for us. So, our goal of life is not to elevate ourselves within this material sky. You see, sometimes what happens is we have a house in one area of the city, but that area is a little underdeveloped or it's a little bit remote and it is congested. Then we want to move to a better place, maybe some nice area which is spacious and nice and well connected and posh, right? So that should not be the goal of life. Our goal of life is not to move within the material sky from the earthly planet to the heavenly planets. That's not our goal. We don't want to simply increase our standard of sense gratification. That is not solving the original problem, right? The original problem is something else. The original problem is we are subject to repeated birth and repeated death. And on top of that, it is dukkhalayam. That is, we are suffering continuously. There's no happiness. We're trying to find happiness, but we're not getting it. But Krishna is giving us very important information. Yet there is another unmanifested nature. Parastasmat bhava anyo. There is something else. That is the important information. Avyakto avyaktat sanatanaha. There is a spiritual sky, which is sanatana sky, which is eternally present. And yassa sarveshu bhuteshu nashyatsu na vinashyati. When all the living beings become destroyed at the end of the universe, we all know the annihilation, partial annihilation, complete annihilation. Many cycles of annihilation happen during the day of Brahma. And at the end of the life of Brahma, the final annihilation happens. At that time, nashyatsu na vinashyati. When all the world is annihilated, that part remains as it is. Now, this is the wonderful information of Bhagavad-gītā. So now we need to understand more about this place. What is this location, which is eternal, which doesn't get destroyed, which is full of bliss, right? We should try to find out more about this location. It is said in the Srimad Bhagavata that those people who do not engage themselves in discussing about the Vaikuntha planet, right? So their lives are like that of a dead body. So that means there is no life. For a dead body, there is no life. Similarly, for those people who are not discussing the topics of Vaikuntha, the spiritual world, right? This is the abode of Lord Krishna, right? Where we can personally serve him, where all the eternally liberated souls are present. Two types of living entities. Nitya Baddha, Nitya Siddha. Nitya Baddha, it conditioned soul. We are all conditioned by material nature, right? That means we accept a body without our choice. I mean, we may think I don't want a body, but we have a body right now. And similarly, after leaving this body, we get another body. Not by choice, by force, because we are conditioned at the moment. But there are some living entities who are Nitya Siddha. They are eternally liberated souls. These Nitya Siddha devotees are in the spiritual sky, spiritual world. And what is their business? What are they doing there? For example, we here, we are very very busy right? In conducting our business or office work, to earn some money, to keep our body together, to take care of our family, etc., and etc., etc. But in the spiritual world, that's not there. It's not necessary that you have to go to work and earn some money and for some kind of a bread. That's not necessary. The only business in the spiritual world is to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there are disagreements in the material world, right? We see that there are so many wars that happen. There are two countries that are fighting with each other. So they're always like two sections which fight with each other. They say they disagree with each other and they fight, right? But in the spiritual world, there is no disagreement. Everybody accepts the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And their lives are centered around serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So if we can also do the same thing, that we keep Krishna in the center of our lives and conduct our duties, then this material world itself will become like a spiritual world. Again, that doesn't mean that we'll be completely free from the defects. Don't think like that. You will get a feel of how the spiritual world is, but then we will be subject to the birth and death. So if we have to completely transfer ourselves, we have to do Krishna consciousness. You see, we should do Krishna consciousness. We should understand this basic fact first, that there is a material world which is manifest, and there is another material world which is unmanifest. Unmanifest means what? It is not seen with our eyes. Unmanifest things cannot be seen with eyes, right? Only manifested things can be seen with eyes. But with this present eyes, we cannot see. When we get a spiritual body, right? There's a description of the Vaikuntha planets in Srimad Bhagavatam. There's a description of the residents of the Vaikuntha. There is description of the Goloka Vrindavana in the scriptures. There is description of Vrindavan given in Srimad Bhagavatam. We have description of all the living entities of Vrindavan, how they are conducting themselves, how the Gopas, Gopis, all of them are conducting themselves, right? So all this is being described in the Shastras. So our material senses, we are unable to perceive the spiritual world. We can only see the material world. We can't see the spiritual world. But if you want to see the spiritual world, what should you do? You should do spiritual practice. Like chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. By chanting Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we elevate our spiritual consciousness. You see, it's like this. Somebody is sleeping, right? How do you wake them up? Anybody can tell me, how do you wake them? How do you wake up a sleeping person? What do you do to wake
Very
somebody up?
gently, very gently.
Gently, what do you do?
You may just call the name or just gently touch, very gentle
Yeah,
touch.
that's right. By hearing some sound, we wake up, right? We call their names and then they will wake up. Similarly, the living entity within. Now, if you have to awaken that spirit soul, you need to call. You need to call the names of God. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Simple process, no? You're trying to awaken the spirit soul which is sleeping. That's how you can awaken your spiritual consciousness, and gradually, we attain the spiritual sky. So Krishna consciousness means to transcend this material world. This is the process. And the chanting of the holy names, it actually purifies our senses and it reveals all the spiritual truths to us. So to understand this, we need to have faith. We need to have the faith in Bhagavad-gītā first, that this Bhagavad-gītā is a perfect textbook. Am I right? And then we have to see that this is a perfect textbook with a perfect process. Right? Just like you take a flight ticket and then you take a flight because you have a faith that the airlines carrier will take you correctly to the destination. You have faith in that process. Similarly, we should have strong faith in this process in Bhagavad-gītā, that whatever Krishna is saying, I shall accept it. That there is some spiritual world beyond this material world. And what is Krishna saying? Krishna is saying that after going there, you don't have to return back. Very interesting, right? Yam prapyana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. In chapter number 15, Krishna says, Yadgatvana nivartante tadhama paramam mama. See, 2 times he said the same thing. In 8.21 and in chapter number 15 also. Means after you go there, you don't need to come back. It's called Paramadhama. Paramadhama. Right? So we have one of the teachers of Gita Gyan, Parandam Prabhu. Right? His name is coming from Paramadham. Paramdham is spiritual sky. Paramdham is Golok Vrindavan. Right? Tadhama Paramam Mama. That place is my eternal supreme abode. Yam prapya nanivartante. You don't come back if you get that. Right? Yad gatvana nivartante. If you go there, there's no coming back. So that is a place where we go, we don't have to return. We don't feel like returning also. Sometimes we may feel, oh my God, I don't want to be there. No, it's not at all like that. It's the opposite actually. If we go there, we don't feel like coming back ever. Because it's such a beautiful place. Right? So there's a beautiful, beautiful description of this place. You see? All the description has been given in the Shastras. So it says, Chintamani prakara sadmachu kalpa vruksha. Lakshya vruteshu surabhir abhipalayanta. Lakshmi sahasra shatasambrama sevyamanam govindam adipurusham tamaham bhajami. That means that this is a Chintamani. Chintamani means touchstone. If you touchstone, if you take it and touch, let's say if you touch this chair, it becomes gold. That is Chintamani. Touchstone, if you touch it with anything, it will become gold and emeralds and everything. So all the buildings there are made up of Chintamani stone. So our buildings are made up of concrete, bricks. But the buildings in the spiritual world, the Golok Vrindavan, are made up of Chintamani. Right? And the trees here and versus the trees in the Goloka, that is Kalpa Vriksha. All the trees in the spiritual world are Kalpa Vriksha. Right? Once Srila Prabhupada was asked by his devotee in Mayapur Dham. Mayapur Dham and Vrindavan Dham, they are the manifestations of the spiritual world in the material world. It's called Bhaumya Vrindavana. Bhaumya Vrindavana means Vrindavan, Golok Vrindavan is a spiritual sky. The material manifestation of it is here, right here, within our own country. We have to take advantage. Vrindavan is right here. And you know what? This Mayapur Dham is being created by Radharani just for the sake of Krishna. It's not different from Vrindavan. Mayapur Dham is not different from Vrindavan Dham. So once one devotee asked, so are these plants all Kalpa Vriksha? He said, yes, they are all Kalpa Vriksha. So, but we may not be able to see it with our eyes. We go to Vrindavan, we may not be able to perceive this. The pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are eternally happening in Vrindavan. Every day he's going to graze the cows. He's meeting the gopis. We are not able to see all of that with our eyes. Right? But the liberated souls, the great acharyas, they are able to meditate upon these eternal pastimes of Krishna, which are eternally happening in his abode. Right? So that is the wonderful thing. And how does Lord Krishna look in that abode? Venum kvanantam aravindadanayatакшam barhavatam chamasitam mudasundarangam kandarpakoti kamaniya vishesha shobham govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajam. So how is he looking? I worship God, Lord Govinda, primeval Lord, who is adept in playing on his flute. Venum kvanantam aravindadanayatакшam, with blooming eyes like that of lotus petals. And barhavatam, asitam, sundarangam, the head bedecked with the peacock feathers. Barhava means that peacock feather he is wearing. And the figure of beauty tinged with the hue of blue clouds. His color is like that of blue clouds, Shyama Sundara. And his unique loveliness charming millions of Cupids. Kandarpa Koti Kamaniya Vishesha Shobha. So he's so charming that even 1,000,000 Cupids are charmed by his beauty. So Supreme Lord is eternally present in this spiritual world. So that is called as the spiritual world. So we should aim to go to the spiritual world. So Srila Prabhupada, he wrote a magazine. Do you know what's the name of the magazine? He used to write a
Back to
magazine.
Godhead.
Yeah, Back to Godhead. Back to Godhead. So that means it's a magazine which he used to write, 1-page magazine, and he used to distribute to everybody how to go back to home, back to Godhead. He used to inform everybody that beyond this material world, beyond your house, beyond your locality, beyond your city, we all love our city. We all like our city, right? We like it. We say that I'm from this place, I'm from this. Okay, nice. But beyond this, beyond your street, beyond your city, beyond your home, beyond your place, beyond your state, beyond your country, beyond this material world, there is something else. That is the information. Please be informed. That is the information Srila Prabhupada is giving. That's the information that Lord Krishna is giving. Please be informed. Don't think this is all in all. Wherever you are, don't think this is all in all. It's only temporary. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam, Krishna said. We say sweet home. Krishna said opposite. He said Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Our real home is in Krishna's abode. Here it is Dukkhalayam, only suffering. Ashashvatam, temporary. Some years will be there in this sweet home. That's it. Afterwards, we will be forced to evacuate. They'll say, sir, please get out. Material nature will say, get out from here. Then we'll say, no. This is my home. I don't want to go. No, get out, sir. Pushed off. Right? So that is material world. Ashashvatam. But spiritual world is opposite. Flip it. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Flip it. Shashvata sukha. Shashvata sukhalayam. Permanent happiness. Always happy. Right? So there is a very nice description that Kathaganam Natyam Gamanam Api Vamshi Priyasakhi. You know what that means? That means in the spiritual world, every word is a song. They don't speak, they sing. And they don't walk, they dance. They don't walk, they dance. They don't speak, there's a song. And every day is a festival. So for us, festival comes once in a year, Janmashtami and Lord Krishna's festivals, maybe a couple of them over the year, right? But for them, it's like every day is a festival. Every day is a festival. There's no old age, or there is no lamentation. There is no disagreement. There is no anxiety. Here we have anxiety. Anxiety is, I have an anxiety that what's going to happen? The recession is looming. Oh my God, what's going to happen now? Recession is going to come. The recession is going to come. Are they going to fire me? They're going to fire me. How am I going to find a job? I have so many years of experience now. But will I get another job or not? I don't know if the market is ready to take me. What will happen to me? What will happen to my loans? Who's going to take care of my kids? Anxiety. Material world means anxiety. Spiritual world means Vaikuntha. Kuntha means anxiety. Vaikuntha means no more anxiety. So how many of us don't want any anxiety? How many of us want to be in a permanent place, permanent, happy, and always ever enjoying blissful place? Right? That's a spiritual world. You see, Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Thakur used to say that this material world is not for gentlemen. So for good people, this material world is not suitable for them. It's only for the wretched people, right? Who are conditioned, who want to stay here, who are rebellious against Krishna. It is only for them. But it is not a place for gentlemen. It's not a place for good people. No, the correct place for good people is Krishna's abode. Just like good people should not stay in jail. They should not be subject to punishments because they are good people. They deserve to stay in a better place, in their own house, in a happy place with freedom. But right now, we are in a jail in the material world, right? But the good news is that we have something beyond this jail, right? That is the spiritual world. All right, so that's what we spoke about today. In the Bhagavad-gītā, we saw what's the material world, what's the spiritual world, what are the differences, and how to attain that spiritual world by keeping a consciousness in Krishna consciousness. When we can maintain that consciousness, Krishna consciousness, so at the time of leaving the body, then we will be transferred to the spiritual world. Okay, thank you very much. Anybody has any questions? You can ask. Any questions? Anything you want to add? Anybody wants to add something? Hare Krishna. So, okay, I have a question for you now. What are the differences between material world and spiritual world? Anybody can say? What's the difference? Who can say?
Material world is Dukkalayam.
Okay, material world is the Kalema Shashvata. That's right. That means full of miseries and temporary. Correct. Spiritual world is
Sukhalayam Shashvatam.
Sukhalayam Shashvatam. It is full of bliss and it is permanent. Any more differences?
Prabhuji, what I like today is you told us how to awaken your dormant love towards God in such a nice way. Of course, all these years we were focusing on chanting, but today the way you explained it to us, it just really we could understand it, Prabhuji. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, thank you. So one more difference. Who can say? Material world and spiritual world. One simple difference.
We live there eternally.
Shadow or spiritual
No birth,
world?
no birth, that we live there eternally.
Eternally, no birth and no death and no old age also, right? Everybody stays in one age there, fixed age. What else? One more point, last point.
We are in direct service to Lord Krishna, Prabhuji. We are not serving Maya.
That's right. That's a nice point. So what happens in the material world, in the spiritual world, everybody knows that Krishna is a supreme personality of Godhead and everybody is busy serving him. It's a very nice description. It says that, you see, in the Lakshmi Devis, also they're like, they're what they're doing is every day they are sweeping the floor. Even though the floor is not dirty, Lakshmi Devi is continuously mopping the floor, continuously, even though the floor is not dirty. So that, to serve the Supreme Lord, there is a mood. To serve the Lord is the mood. That's the spiritual world mood, right? In the material mood, material nature or material world mood is, I want to enjoy. I am the enjoyer. So we want to take the position of Krishna in the material world. Okay, that's the thing. So it's like a mini temporary world where Krishna has given us for trying to imitate him, trying to become a father, trying to become a mother, trying to become a husband, trying to become a king. All of this is actually Krishna. We're trying to imitate him falsely and failing. All right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. So we will see you tomorrow again. And we will see in detail, Krishna is going to explain how this process happens, that how one gets transferred to the spiritual world. And the one who does not follow these instructions of Bhagavad-gītā, how he is transferred back to the material world. Both of these things will be explained further in this chapter. So thank you very much for joining. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji.